Hey, hi guys, this is Aaron. Welcome to the webinar. So to start with, the main agenda which we'll be focusing on for the day is uh, what should be the roadmap process should look like when we are bringing ServiceNow into infrastructure and different modules, how ServiceNow can bring revenue as well as improvement in the quality of services, and how to stay ahead of service delivery with ServiceNow as the key player, and associated activities like setting up the service portals and creating scoped application, the third-party integration with GitHub, and a few more stuff. So this is the main agenda for the day. So as you guys know, I'm sure you guys are aware of ServiceNow, which is a key player in the market right now, who's changing the the way the industry works or the people work. And ServiceNow is a cloud platform where the platform as a service PaaS, and they provide all the IT operation and business process operation management toolkit as part of their complete platform suite. And based on our requirement, we can purchase or we can enable the plugins, which varies from the basic ITSM platform to the cloud management or event management and many more. On top of the out-of-box functionalities, which is provided by ServiceNow, they have ServiceNow has provided us with the facility to build our own modules and applications for our day-to-day activities based on the how to bring ServiceNow into the day-to-day operations, and how to transform the complete service desk or service delivery through ServiceNow, and bring more quality and improve the revenue. Okay, so moving to the next, the main agenda or the key point which we'll be discussing here will be what should be the roadmap should look like, or what the roadmap should look like when we are saying we are bringing ServiceNow as the key player into a project or into a customer infrastructure, right? So taking a normal scenario where a customer who's using different tools to for our day-to-day operations, like the ITSM management, which involves the incident, problem, change, request, SLM management, and the dashboard and notifications. And it can be any tool which is available in the market. It can be licensed, or it can be a freeware. It can be a on-premises solution, right? So considering a scenario where they have an on-premises solution for ITSM, right, that's provided by a third-party vendor, then for the automation or the day-to-day IT operations, they are using another tool, or maybe a subsidiary of the same vendor, some other tool which is uh, taking care of the reporting engine or the automation capabilities, right? Then for asset or inventory management, they have another tool, or they may be using some a traditional method to keep track of the inventory, the server details, everything, right? So in a normal scenario, in such cases, the major challenge is managing the complete infrastructure, or managing individual uh, what is that tools, right? We need people or administrators who's having skill set in individual application or individual tools to maintain those. And the next major challenge which the customer face is when the communication between these multiple application, right? So it can be subsidiary of the same vendor, or it can be different third-party vendors. So when the communication between these uh, application need to happen, right? Because at the end of the day, for a proper service delivery, all these tools should work hand in hand to collect the data, what is it, populate or develop or analyze the complete data and come up with a feasible solution and provide a quality service delivery to the end user. So when these challenges are faced, that's where ServiceNow as a platform comes into picture to overcome all these issues, right? So ServiceNow, like I said, being a cloud platform, is globally accessible through a single URL, and being a, like I said in the initial slide, ServiceNow platform provides all the IT operations or business operation management tools under one roof. So we don't need to maintain a different tools to uh, go through our or take care of our day-to-day activities. The ITSM or the ticket management can be done in ServiceNow. The inventory management through different modules like discovery or service mapping can be done. So we'll be talking about that further in the upcoming slides. So again, when it comes to reporting and engine, ServiceNow has one of the very best reporting and what is that, notification engine, I will say. And the best part is, since entire data residing in one under one roof, the data, the communication between these plugins or these applications becomes really easy. We don't need to even worry about the developing some code or some integrators to do that, right? So the entire data is under one roof, and it works hand in hand to provide a feasible solution or better service delivery to the end user. So now, considering the same scenario, and now the customer want to move to ServiceNow and want to utilize ServiceNow's capabilities to uh, bring change into the service desk or the way they deliver their services. This is where the roadmap is the key player, right? So I would suggest in a technical perspective, when we are building or when we are bringing ServiceNow into the infrastructure, the first thing which should be done is changing the ITSM platform from the third-party vendor to ServiceNow. That will be the first step. I would say if you want to bring ServiceNow as a full-fledged key player in an organization, because at the end of the tickets or the request or incident management tool access like to, or the tickets they raise, right? So if we are having, if first when we bring that ITSM itself into ServiceNow, because since ServiceNow provides the ITSM as a core platform, it becomes really easy to capture the complete data in one platform so that we can take it further for next level of analysis and customization, right? So once ServiceNow as a platform is implemented, so I'm not talking about the initial implementation where setting up the incident management or setting up the platform or uh, or the look and feel. I'm talking more in a how to set up the ITSM modules, which is the few are listed here, right? So based on the customer requirement, based on the operations, we know how the ticket window should look like. So what are the different fields need to be there, because in most of the cases I have seen the third-party tools miss few critical what would we say the fields required to manage and which will make sense, which will make more sense when it comes to the uh, what is that, request management, right? So in a normal scenario, our window should have categories, subcategory, then a short description, then maybe description, a bit more, then uh, what is the CI's impactor, right? So identifying this and implementing that identifying and implementing the same in ServiceNow will be the first step of transformation, because like I said, once the data is there in ServiceNow, it will be really easy for the next further steps. And since it's globally accessible, so the end user can interact or access their a web portal on the go from their laptop or from their mobile, because ServiceNow has both the functionalities to support their support the ongoing or customer while they're on the move. Okay, and as well as we need the legacy data as well. So migrating the complete database of uh, the tickets from last 10 years or 15 years into ServiceNow is uh, really easy. So once the data is moved into ServiceNow, we'll have the complete database on basis of which we can move further. Okay. So the first step will be the ITSM setup. Now, once the ITSM setup is done and the customer is, the end user is, what is it, well versed with using this new portal or the new way of logging their ticket, because it becomes really easy because in ServiceNow. So the end user will get the hang of it in no time, right? So once the data is there, the next key thing we need to do is the ITOM setup. So which I'll be more focused on the automation front, right? So because at the end of the day, less effort and less effort and better and faster service delivery is the key motto of any customer, right? So once we have the complete ITSM data fed into ServiceNow, we have the now we have the freedom or the ability to analyze the complete ticket dump and come up with a service catalog kind of a what we say service catalog basically, which will capture all the different processes or services which the customer takes care of, starting from the initial password reset to the VM provisioning or the asset management in the infrastructure, right? So now from the ticket details or the ticket dump details which we already have within ServiceNow, it is really easy to identify what are the different processes or services which the end user are more focused on, right? Because from the legacy data of 5 to 10 years or even more or less, like in a range data which varies from this much range, we'll know what is the trend of different processes or utilization over the period of time, and what all the different or what are the new processes or service operations which came into picture in last couple of years, and how it is impacting the customer, where the major issues are, what are the major pain areas, right? Identifying and classifying this process will be the part of the second step of our roadmap. Once we have once we identify and classify the processes, we prioritize and build packages based on the return on investment, correct? So because taking a scenario of password reset, right? So that is the basic scenario or basic ticket which is raised by any customer or any end user in a day-to-day basis, and it varies from customers to customer, and but in a major cases we have seen that being a critical or the most what is that logged ticket for password reset, because we are prone to error. We may misplace the details and the customer is not able to log into some service, right? So considering a scenario where a password reset request is raised like 100 times in a month or in 3 months or in a 3 months period, right? Addressing that and converting that into an automated package will give more what is that effort saving, because when the end user is raising a request, it's not necessary they will be selecting a proper category, subcategory and description, right? Then it comes to the service desk engineer to do the classification and identification or bucketization of this ticket. Then it will be assigned to a particular team, and which will be followed by an SLA, and they'll get it resetted and provide, right? But in a world a competitive world like this, we cannot expect, so again, I'm taking this as an example, okay? So we cannot expect such a delay when it comes to such simple tasks. This is where the automation, what is that, capability should be explored and implemented first, right? So this being an example, it can be anything which varies from this a simple resetting a password or account unlock to provisioning a VM, because we are in a market where we are really competitive, and the faster the delivery, the better the customer satisfaction, right? So once we identify and prioritize what is the process we need to address, we build packages for that in ServiceNow as a custom solutions, and we test, do the UAT and all the based on the SDLC cycle, we do the different testing, and once the UAT is done and we roll out into the production, so which will uh, cut the effort involved in a particular single activity uh, up to 75 to 80 percentage, right? We are skipping the part where the customer is raising the request manually, and the service desk team classifying it into and classifying and bucketizing it, right? The rest, the actual technical effort involved in that is cut down to 75 to 80 percentage by implementing the automation packages, right? And since like I said initially, ServiceNow has the one of the best reporting and notification as well as dashboard engine, where we can see the real-time savings and return on investment once configured, and which will be really helpful when it comes to the what is that, the auditing, or at the end of the month meets, where we need to see how was service delivery and how fast we were able to uh, what is that, help the customer to fulfill their requirements and everything, right? So rather than using the traditional method of, sometimes I've seen extracting it into an Excel, then generating charts and power tables like manually, ServiceNow has all built into the platform, and since the data is also residing there, and since ServiceNow being what is that, a UI based interaction, right? We don't need to code, or no need to know the coding, no need to be from a coding background to build such a what is that, reports and dashboards. Okay, so that will be the second step, right? First will be migrating the ITSM from the legacy to ServiceNow. Then once that is done, classification and identification of the processes and converting that into automation packages. Okay, these are the first two steps in our roadmap. Okay, so Rahul, so would you like to add any more points here?
Yes, Arun, I think you've covered pretty much, but let me just give a quick overview, probably to understand it more in a layman language. Like you
Sure.
very well covered about incident, problem, and change. I think the name speaks for them itself. Like if you have an incident, go ahead and raise an incident ticket. And if the incident is constantly troubling you or it's creating a problem, go ahead and create a problem ticket. And if the problem persists again and again, that is when we would want to go and use a change ticket. So all these kind of tickets and all these kind of ITSM processes, what Arun has just explained in detail, they're all kind of interlinked with each other. Not kind of, they are actually interlinked with each other. And all these things are also pretty much, you can see in a pretty format in a service portal, which we'll be discussing in the later part of this webinar. At the same time, when I say when they're all interlinked, that means they can communicate with each other. We can show how many incidents, problems, chains have been raised, who have raised, and there can be a report based on that. Based on the report, we can see where the issue is. And based on that, there can be notifications sent out to different people. So there is a kind of an internal communication going on between the user and the developer itself. So how the requests are coming in, who is taking care of them, and how are they dealt with. So once these things are done, ServiceNow gives us a very nice view of a dashboard or report, which tells us, okay, this is what has happened last week. So this is the reason why there were so many incidents. So these were the people who solved it. So, in that case, the incidents would go to the right person when similar kind of incident has been reported in the next session or next request, something like that. That covers pretty much the ITSM. Like Arun, I just don't want to go into detail once again. And the ITOM, yes. So once you're well versed with, because ITSM is the core setup, is what you want once you take in ServiceNow. ITOM is the advanced. So once you have dealt with your tickets, you would, because in ITSM probably there is a manual intervention, how to go solve the ticket. Okay, ordering a laptop. Okay, I probably might have to switch to a different third-party site and do that. But what if I don't want a manual intervention and then I want to automate all those tickets and get the problem solved itself? Probably not 100% like the AI. Probably we would want to automate as much as we can, because like Arun rightly said, we would want to automate as much and get the better efficiency of the request. There comes in the ITOM, where we can integrate ServiceNow with any kind of applications using orchestration, workflows, PowerShell activities. All these can be used and automate your backend on how those requests have been handled using a catalog item and workflows. Again, dashboards, notification, everything will be fall into a place. So ITSM is the first layer where you're trying to set up your system, and ITOM will actually provide you that punch of automation, which would automate all your ITSM processes. Yes, automation package development, you would want to decide what kind of package do you want. What are you trying to automate? Are you trying to automate the selection of servers? Are you trying to automate selection of or adding of users? Or is it HR application? Or is it payroll process? I'm just giving you examples. Again, there are n number of things which we could do with it. It only comes down to what do you want to identify and what is that you want to automate it, which is currently being run manually in your environment at the moment. And will it be good? Yeah, at first it might be a little difficult you know to get habituated to the automated environment, but once you are there, it makes your life easy and yes, and efficient. That's all from my end, Arun, because I think you've covered technical aspects of all these things, how an ITSM and ITOM would work. I think you could explain what the next step would be after once we have set up the ITOM module.
Sure, Rahul. Yeah, thanks. So yeah, so now we have ITSM as a standalone as well as ITOM as a standalone, right? Now, making them interact and like building a connection between them will be the next step. Whereas rather than the service desk, rather than the customer raising the request, then what is that? A service desk engineer classifying and bucketizing that ticket and then handing over to a corresponding team. From there, the team will use our automation package to do the activities or perform the automation, right? Because once the data is there in the ticket, maybe we need to fetch the details and feed it into the automation packages as inputs so that the backend workflow engine can take care of the rest of the stuff, right? So now those two are standalone. Now in the next step, what we'll do is we'll integrate the ITSM with our orchestrator, which is nothing but part of our ITOM, right? The orchestrator is the function, or I'll say the feature in which we develop our custom applications for our automation activities, and which is powered by our ServiceNow's workflow engine, which manage the processes and automates the things outside ServiceNow instance. Okay. Now, what is the benefit of doing that? Right. First, it accelerates the service delivery because we already have ready-to-use tools. We have the templates. We have the apps built, and with the of ServiceNow, the delivery of the services become really fast, right? And rather than hopping between different teams, it can be done in one go, right? So either we can provide our automation package UI as the end users through the service portal, because which Rahul will be covering in upcoming slides, right? Or we can make the the ITSM talk to these automation packages directly, which in turn will automatically pass the data from the ticket to the automation packages as input for our further processing. Right now, what it will the benefits, like I said, it will increase the agility and scalability, because we once the automation packages are in place, uh, we exactly know what will be the outcome, right? The packages are built in such a way that it handles all the permutation combination of cases. If this fails, what happens? If this is successful, what should be the next step, right? And with the notification engine of ServiceNow, we can keep the end user uh, updated real time through mails, with the SMS integrations, right? And if at all there is supposed to be a customer interaction required, we need some more data to be collected from the customer or the end user end, there no need to to sit in front of a what is that, a laptop or a PC and do the stuff. They, with the notification engine and the SMS gateway integrations which ServiceNow provides, on the go through by dropping just an SMS of to say, okay, approve this ticket, or okay, this is the extra details required, right? So with the integration between ITSM and the ITOM plugins, this interaction or this service delivery becomes really fast and with predictable results and uh, le less error prone task, or because once the package is in place, there are going to be zero human intervention or minimal human intervention, because once the human uh, interaction is what is that, eliminated, so which will automatically eliminate the chances of error occurrence, right? So, and by eliminating human effort, we are saving a lot of human effort, which can be rerouted for more critical and critical tasks where more what is that, supervision is required, right? And once we know the effort saved and we know how the output is gonna be, the calculating the return on investment becomes really fast, and which will shoot through the roofs, because the lesser the effort involved, the more the savings gonna be, right? In terms of both effort as well, human effort, as well as in the monetary perspective. Okay. Now, so now we have integrated ITSM with the ITOM, but still there is a bit of human interaction, if you say, like when the service desk engineer need to actually sit and understand and bucketize the ticket, right? So this is where the ServiceNow's one of the latest what is that feature, I'll say, which is the AI part comes into picture, right? Now, by adding the AI part into this into this equation, the complete solution becomes what is that, the foolproof what is it, a system, right? How the AI module service now works is, as soon as the customer is raise a request, the AI engine pitch in, and it will identify and classify the ticket and bucketize as well as prioritize it into the proper channel, rather than a service desk engineer doing it manually. ServiceNow engine itself will do that activity, right? So that eliminates the time involved in what is that, ticket classification, because in most of the cases we are seeing the ticket being hopped between different teams just because the engineer was not able to actually understand the what we say, uh, the category or the team the ticket need to be assigned to. It can be because of the data, the what is that, imperfect data provided by the end user, or it can be because of different verticals are having similar kind of an activities, right? So rather than assigning to a database team, I get assigned to a Windows team, then they are moving from there to back to the service desk engineer. then moving it back to the database team, right? So there are multiple hops involved. So by pitching in the AI part in our implementation, this time involved in classification and bucketizing of ticket becomes uh, really fast. So as soon as the ticket is raised by the customer, or the customer request is fed into the system, it is automatically classified and bucketized. And since we already have our automation engine integrated, this ticket is routed to the automation engine, it gets fulfilled, notified, or what is that, performed at the end. It can be a simple password reset to, like I said, it can be a cloud VM provisioning, right? It happens in seconds, right? Rather than waiting for hours, and sometimes missing the SLA, even though the SLA is for 2 hours or 4 hours. Sometimes we see just because the ticket was not classified properly, we tend to miss the SLA, or we just uh, meet the SLA just in time, right? So once the ITSM in place, proper in shape, and the ITOM packages are in place, and the integration is already done, and with the AI capability, this entire action happens like smooth and in within seconds, and that gives the customer faster and quicker delivery with quality output, rather than the customer coming back and saying, no, this issue was not resolved, or this request was not fulfilled, right? Because that also is one of the major pain area uh, when it comes to a service delivery, because sometimes customer is not satisfied with the output just because the what is that the engineer was not able to actually point out to the root cause and resolve it, right? But with all these four modules working all the three modules working hand in hand, it becomes really fast and better and quality service delivery to the end user. And we can expect 97 to 99% of incident assignment accuracy with this operations, which saves a lot of effort and eliminates the ticket hopping between different teams. And uh, by doing this complete implementation, what we are actually looking at is to reduce the number of low value tasks and focus more on the uh, what is that, focus the service desk engineer and route their effort into more higher value tasks, rather than simply doing a mundane jobs, right? So they can upskill themselves and focus more on the more critical aspects of the projects, correct? So this helps us in saving effort, in eliminating errors prone by human interactions, and standardization and customization, as well as what is streamlining the complete service delivery with the cutting edge technologies, which is the key players in the market right now, which are the AI and the automation, correct? So bringing everything under one roof gives you this option uh, of faster delivery, as well as the major part is we don't need different administrator to take care of different tools, because ServiceNow being one single platform, a single or one or two key administrators can actually take care of the complete platform 24/7. And since ServiceNow is a non-stop cloud which is available 24/7, 365 days a year, right? It becomes really easy to manage and maintain the IT operations, and it once things are streamlined, it will happen on its own. So once a system is built, right, we don't need a person to uh, take care of individual tasks. A single supervisor can do fine tuning of the processes based on the customer requirement. It's again uh, this how the service delivery is going to be over a period of time. There may be changes, okay, right? So once these changes are need to be in place, so it becomes really easy to fine tune the complete process, because we don't need different tools to talk to one another, right? So just making a slight change in the ITSM itself, it can take the complete operation can be taken care, right? So that is the beauty of bringing or migrating to ServiceNow as a platform and building such a roadmap to migrate the complete operations uh, through ServiceNow as a key player. Okay. So Rahul, any views from your end?
I think I wouldn't have covered it as good as you are, Arun, because specifically with orchestration, I think we're good here because you've specifically explained about how the packages will be placed and how the AI will work in hand in glove with them. So I think we are good. I think we can move to the next direction.
Sure, sure. So now so far, yeah. So now so far we spoke about the backend, right? So whatever we just said were the backend, how it's gonna help the IT operation team to take care of the service delivery and the process management. Now next will be again the next step which we are going to talk about is about the customer perspective, right? Because at the end of the day, the look and feel of the end user window decides how easy the end user can interact with the uh, with our product, right? So the next step what we are going to discuss is uh, setting up the service portal, which is nothing but the end user view. Okay. To speak more about this on this, I would call Rahul. Sorry. Yeah. And Rahul.
Yep, I'll take it from here, Arun. Thank you.
Sure.
That was a very detailed explanation and very technical. Probably we don't want to be scared, so we'll take it to the pretty side of this webinar, where a lot of people would also want to see, because we're only talking about how the request comes in and how are they handled probably from the back end and how it is being automated. Now let's just go to the front end and see. Probably you guys can already see a screenshot and how a service portal looks. Let me just quickly share my screen and show it to you in a real time how an end user would actually come in and put up a request and how it is received in the backend and what goes on. Let me just know when you guys can see my screen. Arun, if you can let me know if you can see my screen. You guys, can you guys see my screen, Arun?
Yes, Rahul. It's visible.
Okay,
So
cool. So yeah, this is the front end of the ServiceNow portal, guys. So this is like, most of like it gives like a shopping experience, probably, and like an Amazon shopping experience where you can see the way to navigate here is, let me just quickly show. So this is the back end, but I don't want you to scare showing off all the things what happens in the back end for now. So this is where we can go and just go to portals, go to service portal, and click try it. Or you can simply use this URL, whatever is your instance name, and /sp, that means service portal. So this is where users would come in and have a shopping experience. We can see the cart tool, and this is user profile, where your picture, if you were interested, can put up your picture. So whenever there is a service request, so let me say how the request is initiated. Let's say, for example, I want to show you how the request would come in. So I'm just trying to put up a request to a catalog item. Probably I want to order something. So these are all test fields. Hey, I want to, order a laptop. That's it. I'll just click order now. So you can see this is add to cart, shopping empty. Kind of gives us a shopping experience. So once this is ordered, you can see there is a request number. Click on the request number, RITM. This is what I'm showing you how it's done from the backend. So once it starts, there's a catalog task assigned. Once the task is done, there is an email notification sent out. So this is like a workflow and catalog item. So we're still in the backend. I just want you to explain what happens in the backend first, and then I'll take you to the front end. So then there is a notification sent out and it goes to the end. So let's just do the same thing how we do. So just press on catalog. We can see 4 major things here. That's request something, knowledge base, get help, and community. So I want to request something. Let's see what I want to request. Probably want to order an Apple iPad. Why not? Let's just go. So this is like a tangible asset. Service catalog is not only for the hardware assets. It's like for tangible and non-tangible assets. You might probably want to order an Adobe software or a keyboard or a laptop or any kind of, a lot of automations. Probably you can also put up a ticket request to a service catalog saying, hey, my server is not working and these are the details. So even that kind of complex architecture can also be automated, but I'm just going to show you a simple thing. So let's just go ahead and order an Apple iPad 3 for myself. I'm ordering it, checking out, I'm submitted it. So what it gives me is, this is the request number. So let's say, because in this particular scenario, I am the end user, also the backend developer, doing a multi-role today. Just copying this request, and let's see what happens here. How and where did I get that request? So I'm just copying this request, and you see, just clicking on the RITM, and it says, hey, Apple iPad 3, this is the description, order from vendor or move from in-stock inventory. The state, it's still in open because the request is being worked on. And this is a request which is being tagged on. And if there is any additional comments you want to put out to a customer, let's say, hey, the Apple iPad isn't available at the moment. So if I post this, so the end user who has requested it would get this message. And if the end user can again communicate, let's say, okay, probably I want to order an Apple mouse instead. Sorry, not a mouse, probably a different iPad rather than Apple. Then his comments will be back here. So this way, there is an internal communication going on between the portal as well as the backend. So there you go. There's one task assigned if the portal is available, the iPad is available, saying that, let me ship it to you tomorrow. I'm closing the task. So there's another. So that's for the field services. It will be delivered today. So there are 2 tasks, because one is the person who's trying to sort out the item. The other is basically who's on the field and who's delivering the item. So I'm going to go ahead and close that task as well. Let's see what's happened. Okay, there's another field which is called, okay, there's another field services. Probably I read too many here. Let me just say delivered. So now let me show the workflow, and this is where it is. Okay, there's one more catalog task. Okay. Signature received. So it depends how many other catalog tasks you want to put. So for this particular one, probably I've used 4 catalog tasks. So now if you refresh this, you would see it's going to an end. So this way, all this is happening in the back end, but the order was basically raised in the front end. And the person, whoever has requested, will also get a notification saying that, hey, your Apple iPad has been delivered to that particular email. That's one reason why we use Service Portal. The other reason is knowledge base. So let's say, for example, if the requests or incident or problem, what we have discussed earlier stages, if there is an issue which is constantly being put up, so let's decide, why not just write a knowledge base. Let's say, for example, a user says, how do I log in into Service Portal, or how do I order antivirus this thing, or how do I do such kind of things? If this question is constantly asked, so what we have done is we've simply come up with a knowledge base article so that they don't have to come and raise the ticket every time. They can simply select knowledge bases. So let's see what kind of knowledge bases we have. Getting around Windows. So a person wants to know how to get around Windows. So rather than changing, raising a ticket, you can simply write getting around. There you go. It automatically shows you what to do and what not to do here. Let's say he wants to search something with Apple. Hey, what all Apple products you guys have? Let's just select Apple, and all the results, whatever for Apple are there. He or she can come in and order this. And now you've also seen, once the item is ordered, what happens in the backend, which you are already well versed with at this point of time. So this is one of the main reasons. Service Portal is basically runs on JavaScript. It uses HTML and CSS, but the Service Portal application itself runs back on a JavaScript Rhino engine, which is a very powerful engine, which gives back results immediately, efficiently. And if you see the look and feel of it also, it gives you a pleasant view, not a scary one, which Arun was talking about. So
Yeah.
so this is like I think Service Portal is something people who have less Service Portal can be set up with people who have limited knowledge in coding, not too much into JavaScript. If they're scared of such kind of things, Service Portal is just like a drag and drop features. Most of them, I would say, not completely, but most of them are drag and drop features. You can go ahead and customize your own portal. I don't want to go too much detail, but let me just show you how that's done. It's just loading. Here you go. So this is where everything happens. So let me just say I want to go ahead and delete this. Probably the request something here, it's gone, and you might want to add something else there. Okay, I don't want get help today. Okay, no problem. We've removed get help. So we're only focusing on knowledge base and community. So probably you might want to add something else, like requests and approvals. Okay, no problem. I want requests and approvals here rather than a service catalog. Let's see if it requests and approvals. Okay, the demo gods are with me today. Everything is working. So yeah, so we would want to configure it anyway. You might want to put a weather widget. How is the performance happening? Anything you would have, like, I think there are like 1,000 odd widgets present in the service in Service Portal. But at the same time, it also gives us this opportunity to come up with our own widget. We could create our own widget, some things like that. Probably what else? The pages, you might want to change all the pages, the logos, the customization. So one good thing about not only Service Portal, but even with ServiceNow also, I speak on behalf of Arun also, it's basically a platform as a service which is completely customizable and configurable, anything the way you want it. Either it's the color, code, presentation, backend, front end, anything can be customized based on your needs. That's though it's a robust feature, it still gives you that flexibility to go and do whatever you want to do in line with the best practices, because that's something which we wouldn't want to risk it, because governance, risk, and compliance is one thing we would keep in line when we are doing all this kind of stuff. Yes, it looks fun, it looks easy, it looks complicated, but we would not want to give up our best practices when we are in such things. So that's one thing. So I just don't want to go too much into Service Portal, because I just want to have you guys fun experience on how this things look from the front end. Community is one last thing I would want to say. Community, again, let me just quickly show you. Ask a question, go there. Hey, how am I supposed to use or set up a service portal? Funny, we're doing it inside a service portal. Give it a tag, SP. If you post this question will actually be posted to your internal thing, and at the same time would also be posted to the ServiceNow community website as well, where you would be getting comments and edits and all such kind of stuff. Will again help you to any kind of questions if you're stuck somewhere. So that's one good feature which allows, it's like an interactive application, I would say, with the backend and with the outer world to engage what's happening. So that's on the Service Portal. Again, like I said, I want to go too much into it. Um, Arun, do you want to change the slide and I probably will discuss few case studies now, because now we've covered the back end and also the pretty feature of ServiceNow, which is Service Portal. Probably we might want to give our experience, what we've done with few places, like how we have implemented such kind of things. Probably a case study.
Sure, sure, Rahul. So if you can just give me the rights.
Yeah, I'm just changing it to you. I think you should have it now.
Yeah. Hope you're able to see my screen.
Yeah,
So
yes, Arun, we are able to see it.
yeah. So Rahul, all yours.
Yeah, so we have this is just a use case we want to give in a financial institute, what we have done. So yeah, you can quickly take it to the next slide, Arun. Yeah, so here we have implemented a couple of modules, and let's discuss about what those modules have and those capabilities. Again, all these modules which we are going to discuss have already been covered in detail before by Arun. That is reporting, like we've mentioned, how reporting and dashboards and notification would help in what kind of the issues are, and to address them. To address them is not the only criteria. Yes, you might have a solution to address an issue, but what would you want to do if that issue is not supposed to be repeated? That's where the performance analytics and reporting would come into place. And orchestration, yes, definitely we are up and we are in, because ITOM is one of the most powerful module where it offers the orchestration pack, which would allow your ServiceNow to communicate with third party, and it's responsible to bring in the data from the third party into ServiceNow and vice versa. That's one thing we have implemented, where there is a client who has recently taken up ServiceNow, probably an year or year and a half. So whenever you're bringing in something new, you're always scared and you're not aware what to do, what not to do. So that's one thing where we've tried to integrate ServiceNow with their legacy applications, where they were a little bit wary. How would these things work? Would they or not? So we were confident in showing them how it is to be done and what with best practices, without disturbing the current plan already in place, because we don't want to disturb the current productivity. But while the productivity is running, we parallelly also want to shift all the things into a newer environment with ServiceNow. So let's say take an example of CMDB CI relationship. So this customer had like hundreds of thousands of CIs. So what we have done is we have used ServiceNow Discovery using IP ranges, probes, and sensors. We have detected all those hardware assets. It might be tangible and non-tangible assets, because people working around the world in different locations. We have radared them, we have screened them, and once all the tangible and non-tangible assets are discovered, they are then populated into CMDB CI table. That's where you can see all your data. Before ServiceNow Discovery, I think they were using HP Service Discovery, which they were happy with. I'm not saying they were not, but ServiceNow provided them with more robust and efficient features. Within a single click, they can use all of them, populate them into their own instance. Because the reason why they want to use ServiceNow Discovery is because you are using incident problem change and also ITOM under ServiceNow. So why not also bring the CMDB into the same pack, where they can communicate with each other in a more efficient manner, rather than ServiceNow going out and communicating with the third-party application, which is possible, but you would always want to have all those things inside your home rather than going out and doing it all the times, because which always requires a mid server, disengaging firewalls, all these kind of things. Again, one-stop ordering catalog items, yes, we have looked into that. And fault tolerance monitoring, yes, constant auditing is being done on every table and record. That's one good feature of ServiceNow. Let's say, for example, if anyone has changed something on a table, anyone has added a user, anyone has added a group, how is the monitoring going to take place? Who is going to audit? So there is an automated auditing functionality which will let you know who has done it and who hasn't. So with the auditing, there is another new feature in London, which is called data certification, which what it does is it reminds you, it's like a reminder in your phone, like probably once a week or once a 2 week, which reminds you, hey, does this group still exist? Is Arun the owner of this group? Is Rahul still exist in this user? you don't know. I mean, if they, so that's one reason why we use data certification and auditing for fault tolerance and monitoring. Coming to the same thing, development, we have seen CMDB, data quality testing. So testing is one thing. Okay, we've talked about how to implement and how to bring the data, how to populate everything, but how do you want to test it? Do you want to test each and everything? Do you want to test ITSM, ITOM? There are hundreds and millions of records of users alone and CMDB CI. So again, ServiceNow has provided it with us with ATF, which is called Automated Test Framework, where you can develop a framework saying that, hey, every morning I want you to run a test on user feed. Every morning I want you to run a test on CMDB CI data. So that once you're out, you can probably schedule it, run it this time, not disturbing the productive hours, probably in the evening or in the night. So once you're back, it gives you all the issues, what has been listed out, and you can specifically go and deal with one particular issue rather than doing testing one-on-one. So that's one thing. Discovery, we have we've already discussed about discovery and API integrations, how they run, how ServiceNow can integrate with n number of third-party applications without anything, because that's what makes it special. That's what it is, robust and efficient. The one main feature why it can also do is because it runs on a MariaDB database engine, which is flexible and robust. So yeah, that's pretty much about all this automations and discoveries and how do we want to test it, how do we want to discover it. So these are things. I think Arun, I think this pretty much covers what we have done with this respective financial institute, how we integrated and how we bought all the data. Do you want me to, is there anything else you want me to focus on, anything particular?
Thanks, Rahul, for the input. So, we have one more use case, which is a healthcare company, which so Rahul spoke about the module implementation and integration and with their legacy tools and what are the data and everything. So in our healthcare company, what we did, we helped them to streamline and standardize the complete IT operations through ServiceNow. So this was more into streamlining the business operations and helping them to adhere to the best practices. Basically, it was the implementation from the scratch of the complete the service delivery vertical, and bringing more efficiency in with respect to service resource planning, as well as the upcoming projects, and bringing more what is that help as well as efficiency into the system by implementing ServiceNow's best practices and core features. Okay, so that's a use case with respect to a healthcare company, which where in scope we were into cloud technologies, database, web infrastructure, and many more stuff. Right. So now in both the use cases and throughout the presentation, we spoke about different activities, how it help, right? So in a let's take a real-time scenario which we have implemented in one of our engagement, right? So I don't want to focus more on the actual the technicalities, right? So before automation was in place, the manual, you can see the manual effort involved, activities involved in the complete process. And after the automation, we were able to move the major chunk of the activities into the ServiceNow, whereas once the system is in place, the things happen smooth and fast, right? And if we do a calculation of this complete effort ROI, you can see an activity which used to take 7 minutes in approx for a single server, right? Our reset operation, just in a technical sense, I'm talking about, not the end-to-end cycle, just the technical effort involved, which takes 7 minutes, taking from logging into that server and connecting to that IaaS or the console and resetting the process, right? So after automation, the complete operations are done in a minute for a single server, which saves us close to 6 minutes per activity, right? So when it, and again, in real-time scenario, that's not the case, right? So when multiple servers are even involved, so 1 to 2 minutes hardly is the time taken for a range of 4 to 5 servers to do this activity, because ServiceNow has the complete platform is implemented, and the communication happens in split of a seconds, and the complete package is developed to take care of multiple what is that requirements simultaneously and fulfill, right? And based on the customer requirement, we can customize and fine tune the solution to fit their purpose, right? So here you can see in a normal or in a real-time scenario how much effort it saves, right? So rather than taking 28 minutes or 30 minutes of time to do for multiple servers or an approach of 3 to 4 servers, it happens in a 1 to 2 minutes, right? So that's a lot of savings. So it may not look like a lot of savings for a single ticket, but accumulated over a period of a quarter or 6 months or 1 year, this gives you a lot of FT, what is that, effort savings, which can be rerouted for a much more critical task, right? So say okay, this is an annual projector of the same. So before automation, which used to take 73 hours, after automation, it comes down just to 28 hours, which is an annual project of 645 hours, right? So that's a huge savings. We have saved close to 95% of the effort. And the best part is this is modular,
Wow.
reliable, and it's repeatable. It's already there. Mimicking it and migrating into different platforms becomes really easy, because once it is built, it can be reused multiple times. That's what we in RC are more focused on, building modular and reliable solutions which can be easily plugged into customer infrastructure and reap the benefit from the day one itself, right? So similarly, we have another example, which is a disk cleanup. So we are just taking the very basic scenarios, which is frequently happening in infrastructure, right? Because disk cleanup is something which happens once drives are exceeding their limits, right? So we converted that into a automation package, which is a proactive cleaning activity, because once we have a monitoring tool in place, it will send in alerts and picking up the alerts, raising a request or incident, getting the things done, right? It becomes really fast. Or with the AI capabilities and maybe with the configuration changes, even we can even predict, okay, this is going to be this what is the trend from the reporting and everything. We'll be able to know, okay, from the trend we have seen, this same scenario is going to happen in down the line 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? And we can take proactive steps, and even we can schedule these cleanups to do uh, proactively before even the actual issue occurs, right? Then uh, the lower probability of downtime due to lack of disk space, because that's one of the major, the system hangs and everything, right? So with being proactive and having a complete system in place, it improves the resource utilization as well as the complete service delivery. And so these are the like one of the few basic steps, and to make it more effective and into a customer infrastructure, because we have a lot of cutting edge technologies in market, and the customer is always looking forward for utilizing those capabilities into the existing infrastructure and bringing more value to the end user, right? So by using the service portal setups, like how Rahul explained very well in this session, and using the scoped application and integrating with the GitHubs or the third-party vendors which is available in the market, and moving from reactive to proactive services helps us to stay ahead in the service delivery. And this is the this is again one of the key areas or major areas are where RC is focused, Royal Cyber is focused on when coming to bringing what is that exceptionally what is that well changes or effective service delivery into the customer infrastructure, right? So once these things are placed, that will actually maximize, like you seen, actually maximize this top level revenue, because there's a lot of effort is saved, and which in turn uh, improves the bottom line activities, right? With pre-built packages and faster delivery, which we can try readily plugged and utilize in an infrastructure, and by upskilling and optimizing the resource utilization through our automation framework, right? And streamlining the business operations using
I think
well-defined
that's
SOPs. Yeah,
I think that this is something really nice because people can like use a plug and play feature. Yeah, that's very well said.
exactly, Rahul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Arun, I think
So,
we have passed our time. So I
oh,
think let's give some time to the users to ask if they have any questions, and let's just take it from there.
sure. So,
And guys, if you have any questions, I think you can type in your questions uh, on the presentation what we have given or
Thanks,
the yes.
Rahul, and thanks, Arun.
yeah.
So one question they asked, like, what is the benefit of bringing all under one roof of ServiceNow?
Okay, it's a really good question. So, uh, I just briefly covered it in the presentation. The best part of bringing everything under one roof is the real-time availability of data, right? So we don't need to search through different tools or platforms to identify the data required for our day-to-day reporting or the auditing purposes. So that the data is readily available at our fingertips. The complete data, let it be our ITSM or our inventory or our automation or the ROA savings. That's one thing. Second thing, having everything under one roof or one URL becomes easy to manage and maintain, right? We don't need to have different tools and skill set people to handle individual applications or tools. We have everything under one roof. It can be all managed through one window, and which requires minimal effort, right? So ServiceNow has a skill which will help them, because ServiceNow is being one of the major key players in the market, moving from the legacy machines to legacy operations to ServiceNow's cutting edge features, help them both business wise as well as the resources, help them to upskill themselves and be up to date to the market, right? These are the few what are the key benefits of bringing everything under one roof. I
Thanks
hope
for that.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank
that
you.
makes sense. Okay. So for the audience, just want to brief about it, like the ServiceNow skills, what you're saying about. In any typical engagement, how we progress is we will be having a project manager who will be giving the right attention, and we will be coming up with an assessment, what exactly the engagement look like. And after the assessment, maybe it may take about a week or two based on the requirement. Then we will be coming up with a detailed report of the assessment, like what exactly has to be done, where it has to be focused, what need to be changed, what should not be changed, and also what is the timeline to execute the project or the engagement, and what are the resources would be required, what is the timeline, and also the kind of approximate cost. So that once you get the assessment report, that gives you a clear-cut picture of what exactly you need to focus on, how to carry out with that. So that's how the typical engagement will be from us. And we are open up with it could be onshore or offshore, it could be a near shore, we are pretty much open up with that. Whether it could be a monitoring or customization or integration or any kind of workflow, we are pretty much familiar with that. And I gradually want to thank each and everyone for having a wonderful time with us and spending your time to listen to our presentation. I hope you guys have a lot of takeaway from this, and let's say we stay connected very soon.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for
Thanks
your
everyone.